Good morning. Today I'm going to reflect a little bit back on what I talked about on Monday about I don't care how much you care. And that's such a tender, warm and fuzzy kind of thinking. And I just thought I ought to continue just a little bit in case it rubs some people the wrong way. Let's just make sure we get all the cat's hair rubbed the wrong way. When you talk about the things that we do, I really care about whatever it might be. And that comes down to feeling. I've heard people say, I just really feel this is the right thing to do. Well, I'm okay with feelings as long as it doesn't dishonor your earthly authorities or the scriptures or break the law. And if all of the guidelines are in place and you still have a couple of options, do what you want. When my youngest son went to Bible college, we had I had said maybe one of these two colleges would be my preference. By the time my kids were out of high school, they're paying their own bills. I wasn't going to boss them around, but they cared enough to ask my opinion usually, and so my youngest was planning on going to one college, and then toward the getting close to actually going, he said, "Would you have a problem if I changed and went here?" I said, "No, I don't have any problem." They were all in the approved area of collegiate activity. Now, if he'd have said, "I'd like to go to UCLA or something, a state school," I'd have said, "No, I don't want you to go there." Now, he could have still gone. I wouldn't have hated him. It's his, if he's paying his own way, figure it out. He's an adult. But I would not have approved of it. It's like my kids. I needed to approve their spouse. If they married someone I didn't approve of, they're still my kids. I still love them. Come on over for Christmas. We'll visit you if we can. You visit us if you can. We love you. But I am an earthly biblical authority. And if you want to know the safest way to go through life, it's staying under the umbrella of biblical principles. And so back to the idea, I don't care how much you care. This is I don't care part 2. I don't care. So for I don't care part 2, I'm going to read you a couple verses. Jeremiah 17:9. Jeremiah chapter 17. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doing. The Lord said through Jeremiah, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. You can't let your heart be your guide. You just can't do that. Proverbs chapter 28. Let me show you a couple of the verses because people panic when we talk like this. Proverbs chapter 28, down at verse 26. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool. Simple as that. Then he says, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered. So one is trusting his own heart. The other is walking wisely. Well, what's the opposite of trusting your own heart that makes it wise? Well, be listening to the Bible or listening to good biblical advice, good counsel. Your heart is not the guide. Hey, think about the mess people made. The mess Samson made, and I mentioned this on Monday. I want that girl. Think about the mess David made. I want that woman. Think about the mess. The preacher who went up to preach in Israel to condemn them and for the mess that they made. And God said, go there. I don't want you to eat there, drink there, nothing. Go there, proclaim this message, and go back another way home. Well, he gets there, and he'd been fasting, and anybody who's fasted at all, you're looking for an excuse to eat something. And this other prophet comes along and says, you know what? I knew God had said that, but God came and told me it was okay for you to eat at my table. And so the guy took the bait, he ate, and God killed him. His appetite, his feelings, the things he wanted to do against the clear spoken word of God killed him. And that's a tragedy. You want to look over to the book of Genesis, chapter 6. When I started our church, I wanted to go to Europe. I felt like there is no one doing anything in Europe of any kind. No one is building churches. No one. So my thought is I should go where no one else is going. Why would we go where lots of people go? Go where no one's going. But council said, don't go. My president of my college and my pastor both agreed, go, start a church, and see what God does with you years later. Grow a little bit, get some maturity, get some experience under your belt. And in several other council situations brought me here. And so I'm here. It had nothing to do with feeling. How could I feel like coming to Wildomar, Lake Elsinore, Riverside County? How could I feel? I'd never been here. I'd never stepped foot in this county. But a deacon in my home church grew up here. And then my pastor knew the area, said there's no good churches here. And the deacon in my home church had been bugging me for 2 years to go start a church here. All right, I'll pack up and go. I didn't feel anything. Drove our old beat-up Chevy Impala to Redding, California, left it with my wife, and at her parents' house, I took a Greyhound bus 700 miles south to Vista, California. And my brother loaned me one. He had two cars, loaned me one of his cars. I drove around the area here, I don't know, a day, 2 days. I have no idea how long I was here. I wish I'd have kept records. I'm the worst. But I was here a day or two, I don't know, and stayed at his house, and drove up, looked, prayed, whatever. And that was my first experience. And then I got on the Greyhound and rode the Greyhound 700 miles back north and picked up my wife and drove down here. And here we are. And started the church. It wasn't about feelings. It was about God leading in an appropriate fashion. And so Genesis chapter 6, if you look at verse 5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Now look at that. Every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And you're going to tell me you're going to make your major decisions of life on how you feel? I like Hudson Taylor. Hudson Taylor had found a girl he really cared about, a good Christian girl, loved her parents, loved it. Everything was fine. But the will of God for his life was to go to China as a missionary. He goes to his father-in-law to ask permission to ask her to marry him. And the father-in-law says, absolutely, I give you my blessing. With one exception, you have to promise me you'll never take her out of the country. And so here's a girl he loved, a girl he wanted to marry, a girl who no doubt he felt like was the right girl. And he broke things off and went to China single because he knew the will of God. He felt like this was the right girl. He knew God had a plan for his life. He felt like this girl was to be a part of that plan. And he wasn't going to dishonor the dad. He could have married her and took her to China. But see, there again, that'd be violating biblical principles. Doesn't matter how you feel. I just know she's the one. I know I'm supposed to go to China. Well, both of them can't be right. It just can't be. You go a little bit further over here in Genesis chapter 8, and God reflecting back on, this is all around the time of Noah. And the Lord, verse 21, the Lord smelled the sweet savor, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. The imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. So I say again, I don't care how much you care. And now I'm not going to say that. You come in here and you want to marry this person, or you want to sell everything and go move to wherever. And I'm not going to tell you you're an idiot. I'll try and advise you as I believe is appropriate. But I don't understand why people would come to me for advice and not take it. Why did you come if you don't trust me? Why did you ask if you don't trust me? Well, we're supposed to get good and get counsel. No, you're supposed to accept counsel, not just get counsel. If you get counsel from 2 or 3 people and then you pick the best ideas, well, maybe that's how you pick a doctor. My knee surgery, I'm pretty happy with it. I've never had another one to compare it to, but it seems like the doctor I had was a good doctor. So I'm not a researcher. I'm busy. Just get it done. But I might have checked out this doctor and found out what the success rate is in that doctor and this doctor. And I might have said, there's more success here, so I'm choosing this doctor. So in a case like that, that is, you're doing research to make an educated decision. You come to me and say, what doctor should I go to? How should I know? I don't know what doctors. I might have the worst knee surgeon in the world. All I know is one doctor and one surgery. I can't give you an opinion. I can tell you I'm 5 weeks out of my knee surgery, and I'm walking, and I'm feeling pretty good. On a Sunday, after standing up a lot, I don't feel real good. I went home Sunday night after church and wrapped my leg in ice. And Wednesdays, if I do speak 2-3 times on a Wednesday, my knee will swell up still. I guess there's a day coming when it'll stop swelling up. I don't know. It's always swollen some. But see, I don't have an opinion. But there are things I take. Here's how I do advice. I take experience. Almost 50 years I've been in the ministry, working with people. 42 years as a pastor, but I was several years serving and working in good churches prior to that. And so I take the experience. These are all the people I've talked to, people I've watched, people, young teenagers I've seen make decisions, couples I've watched get married, and I got all that information. And then I've got Bible. Now, whatever the Bible says is right, and if the Bible if experience contradicts the Bible, I'm doing what the Bible says no matter what. But in a case where the Bible gives advice, go this direction, and then experience gives advice to fine-tune that a little bit, all right, we're going that way. And if your heart wants to go the other direction, no. I may not tell you that because you may not want the answer. But the advice I give is not just what I feel. Because my feelings are probably not a lot better than your feelings, although I do think people outside the picture know better. I think if you're a young person in college, you could ask your roommates and your friends at college what they think of that guy or that girl. They know better than you because they're not emotionally involved. And they're going to give you more logic in there. You're getting ready to buy a house, certain interest rates, points, whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm not real good at that stuff. If you came and asked me, I would refer you to someone on our staff or someone in our church who's good with that kind of a thing. I'm not going to give advice out of my area that I don't feel comfortable in. But don't trust your own heart. You just can't trust your heart. You can't trust your heart. There's so many verses like this over in the book of Psalms chapter 53. This is my tore up Bible. The page is falling out of it. But it's got so many good notes in it. In Psalm chapter 53, give ear to my prayer, O God, and hide not thyself from my supplication. Attend unto me and hear me. I mourn in my complaint. I make a noise because of the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked. For they cast iniquity upon me. In wrath they hate me. My heart is sore pain within me. That's the right spirit. I want desperately, God, show me your will. Guide me, help me make the right decisions. And that was, I think I said Psalm 53. That was Psalm 55. Going over to Psalm 53. This is the other half of that. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. Corrupt are they. They've done abominable. It's a foolish thing. It is a fool. Every one of them has gone back. They altogether become filthy. There's none that doeth good, no, not one. And so over in Psalm 55, you've got the guy saying, oh, God, help me make good choices. And over in Psalm 53, you got this fool who says, I don't need God. I make my own decision. And so I don't care. Part two is this. Our heart is very, very untrustworthy. And I'm not going to kill you with this, but I'm going to take you over to Proverbs chapter 3. One of the reasons I have this Bible in you, there's no way you're going to be able to see it, but right there, all those verses on the left-hand page, those verses all have to do with don't trust your heart. Don't trust your heart. I'm going to read you just a few phrases. Proverbs 16:25, there is a way that seemeth right unto a man, the end thereof the ways of death. Jeremiah 10:23, it is not in man to direct his own steps. Isaiah 57:17. Let me just read that one. Isaiah 57:17. That's a good good passage, and I can't quote that one. 57:17. For the iniquity of the covetous was I wroth, and smote him. I hid me, and was wroth, and went on frowardly, and he went on frowardly in the way of his heart. There is a way that seems right unto man, and there's so many verses. Isaiah, we've turned everyone to our own way. Jeremiah 16:12 talks about the imaginations of the evil heart. Jeremiah 17:5, cursed is the man that trusts in man. Deuteronomy 29:19, he's mockingly saying, go ahead, you're going to say, quote, I shall have peace, though I walk in the imagination of my own heart. Isaiah 5:21, woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes, and on and on. And there's a dozen illustrations here, verses, people who did it their own way. Now, I should care about you. I should care about what's best for you and for God. But your feelings, I don't care. I just don't care. Somewhere we got to realize how wrong our heart is. And I believe I'm in the will of God right where I am, with the girl I'm married to, with the battles we've faced, with the difficulties we've gone through. That's a wonderful thing to be able to look back and not feel guilty. It's a great thing to be able to look back. And I know I have a friend who's an evangelist, and he's a good guy, and he preaches a lot. And he started dating this girl, and I'm going to say he was in his early 20s, maybe mid-20s, and he started dating this girl, and her dad didn't like him at all. And I think he was in Bible college still at the time, but they went ahead and they just got married and said, tough luck, we're getting married anyway. Now, you do whatever you want to do. There's something in the Bible about honoring your father and mother. I couldn't have done that. That's just me. Now, here's a problem. My wife and I, we've had difficult times. Of course, we're human, we're flesh, and we're not. I'm not always wise as the man of the house, nor she is the woman of the house. So let's just say they have the very same problems we have. But when our problems come, we got into this thing called marriage with the blessings of my parents, her parents, and our pastor. This guy and gal got into the situation they're in of difficulty without the blessing of the family. Don't you think that's going to make them look back wondering if we're going through this because of our stupidity? I say we're going through it because it's the will of God. And they might be right in the middle of the will of God too. But you see how dangerous it is. Don't trust your heart. Trust your heart when it comes to liking butter brickle ice cream or chocolate. Of course you like chocolate better. Trust your heart when it comes to, like these chicken restaurants, Cane's and Chick-fil-A. And all it is dry white meat. I got no use for it. And people love that. Let's all go. I think, why go get dry white meat? You got to baptize it in ketchup to be able to eat it. But that's an opinion. That's what you feel like you want. But when you start talking about making decisions, when I was getting out of Bible college, making a decision where to go serve, it had nothing to do with feelings. It had to do with good advice. With good advice, make war, Proverbs says. When it got time for me to marry the girl who was going to be the mother of my children and who would literally carry the ministry and my future service of God in her hands, because if she didn't want to be in the ministry, we're done. And I was going to make that decision. You think I'm making that on the basis of a feeling? Oh, she's just beautiful, and she's just beautiful, and she's so nice. I just really care for her. Hey, what does the Bible say about her beliefs and your beliefs? What do your parents think? What do her parents think? What do your advisors think? And throw out your feelings. Now, by the time you get to the wedding altar, I hope you feel something. And I know I sure did. But I didn't make the decision on feeling. I made the decision on logic and counsel and advice and facts. And then I had to feel something. I couldn't marry a girl I didn't feel. Yeah, it's logical. She's the one. Don't really like her any, but I'm just, I couldn't do that. No way. But I wasn't going to let the feelings will follow the facts, not precede them. And so when it comes to feelings is what brings up child abuse. Is the cause of drunks beating their spouse. Feelings is what causes people to use drugs. Feelings your heart is deceitful. And let's be very careful. Now, once all of the counsel and principles and all the biblical principles are laid in line, now you can follow your heart. And right now, I tell our young people here, I've got several Bible colleges I approve of. I think these are good Bible colleges. Pick one. And maybe you'd rather be in this environment than that, or this environment than that. Pick one. You follow your heart after you follow counsel, after you follow the scriptures, after you follow the clear leading of God. Then let your heart guide you. For me, I'll eat a pizza with onions on it, but I'd never order onions on my pizza. I'd eat it. It's not what I really like. I just like meat and cheese. I'm not bad on pineapple and fresh tomatoes either. There's other things I like. But you know what really needs to be there? Meat and cheese and no bell peppers and no onions. I'll eat it with the bell peppers and onions, but I'm not picking that. That's what you do with your feelings. Let your feelings lead you which piece of pizza to eat. Don't let your feelings lead you to move your family across the country where there might not be a church or a school. Don't let your feelings lead you to quit a job because you just believe God will give you better. No, find a better job, then quit your job. And let's be very guarded about this old corrupt thing down here, 6 inches below the left collarbone.